Hello and welcome back to another edition of Danny's Diary with the main man alongside me. For all Danny's Diary content, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the new home for Danny's Diary. Danny, another fantastic weekend for you and a couple of wins at the Dublin Racing Festival.
Yes, anytime you're going to the Dublin Festival, you're hoping to just get one on the board. It's so competitive up there. I had a good book of rides going into the weekend and, roller coaster through the weekend, but got those few important wins.
And you said on your diary that you fancied Sunday as a good book of rides for you, and it started with a nice family-orientated winner.
Yes, Vischio was one. It was a valuable handicap, but a handicap that probably meant a lot more to the Mullins family than anybody else. It's the race that was originally named after Paddy Mullins, and they've put Maureen, so it's the Paddy and Maureen Mullins Memorial race, and no Mullins had won the race. So every year we've been trying to find a horse for it, and we hatched a plan this year. Jack Cantillon of Syndicates Racing was brave to go and buy her after I recommended the mare to him, and Emmett delivered the mare perfectly on the day.
And you delivered her over the last quite nicely. You came there with quite a handful.
Yeah, she's a listed winner on the flat, so she moved through the race quite easily, and all the way off the bend, even though I was probably 7th, 8th, I was quite confident, once I just weaved my way through. A good jump at the last, sandwich a little bit on landing, but picked up and won with loads in hand. Yeah, she's one, has plenty of mileage, but I still think quite an exciting future.
And a nice ride like that must have gave you plenty of confidence before you went out and got your 28th Grade 1 winner, Solness.
Yes, to go out on Solness, having ridden the winner, was fantastic. And credit to Joseph, he said to me beforehand that Solness was absolutely flying at home, and go out and give him a real strong attacking ride, which we did. And the jumping down the back was fantastic. Little breather across the top, and once Marine National was closing down on him going to the last, he really picked up and galloped strong from there to the line.
And we've seen you do them sort of rides from the front in Grade 1s before, but JJ did it at Christmas. You almost replicated, and it still couldn't stop you.
That's it, there's all the chat about the lads not maybe coming after me and that, but the fractions I was setting, it would have been fairly self-detrimental for most horses to try and maintain that and come with me. So, credit to Solness to be able to go out there, burn early like that, and still have a bit to find at the back of the last.
And coming to the last, we thought that Marine National might pick him up, but he found plenty on the run.
He did, he's a real tough horse. I was still holding on to a fraction going down, got a nice jump at the last, and once I pulled the gun again at the back of the last, every time he responded all the way to the line. He's a horse with so much heart and loads of ability.
We'd been none the wiser now after the Irish champion hurdle about where they are in the pecking order. I suppose Paul isn't as well, which is a benefit for you. But what was your takeaway from the race up until that point? Were you happy with how everything went?
Yeah, everything had gone so smooth. We jumped out, went a good gallop, myself and Paul kind of had our own plans. It eased off down the back, jumping great, and just one of those things where we caught the top of the hurdle and probably just fell 2 or 3 furlongs too soon for anybody to draw a real conclusion as to what would have happened. I was happy, Paul was happy. From the way Stateman only had to hack home, the adrenaline, and that probably left the race once Paul was isolated like that. So it was only a case of picking up the pieces for Stateman at that stage. So, nothing learned from the race, but we go on again.
It was a strange mistake from Lossiemouth because she looked like she jumped a lot better than she did at Kempton at Christmas. That'd be a fair comment.
Yeah, she was jumping fantastic, and I expected her to have learned plenty from Kempton at Christmas, and she was much faster through the air all the way through the race. And maybe it's the first time she's been at that real speed where there was a jump like that where she made a little mistake, but she seemed to get up. We both were fraction ginger walking away from it, but I think all reports so far that she's in good shape, and fingers crossed she makes it back to Cheltenham.
Excellent, and I think Willie said that will be the plan, all being well. What do you think Paul will do now? Do you think he has to stick with Stateman because what else does he know?
Yeah, all along, even coming up to this Saturday's race, I probably of the opinion that Paul was going to ride Stateman, having been a champion hurdler, and he'd proven plenty. It was so bad at Christmas that he looked like he'd left that behind him. So yeah, I'd be hopeful. Paul could go again, but yeah, we'll see what happens come the time.
I just want to touch on a few of the other performances that were really impressive and get your view on them. We'll start with Kopek Des Bordes. He was sensational.
Very good. He was always going to be open to that improvement. Everybody, and rightly so, cribbed his jumping at Christmas, but that was because Willie wouldn't do a huge amount of schooling with the horses, only when they need it, and he didn't come through the French system or the point-to-point system. And once they knew he needed that bit of practice with his jumping after Christmas, he brushed up that and put in a fantastic performance. It really puts him in there as one of the leading contenders for the Supreme.
A few people who are siding with Salvatore Monday so far might be a bit scared after that yesterday.
I suppose, yeah, it's the first performance in the 2 mile division where you think that'll be there with Salvatore Monday. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting race, as a Supreme should be.
Another one with the novice hurdlers final demand. He was pretty good on Saturday as well.
He was. I'd ridden him at Christmas and I got an unbelievable feel off him in what probably wasn't the most competitive race, but I thought he had that performance in him, but to deliver, and what he did late on in the race, he jumped the last a length or two clear, but from there to the line he could have gone any amount further clear.
Two exciting novice hurdlers. Novice chasers, we'll start with Margeborough. What do you make of his jumping in that race?
Very good. For the speed he was going, his first win around Fairy House, he was able to dictate and probably only had to jump 2 fences at speed down the home straight, where I'd say he was just so fresh and well that he half took a run with Mark Walsh away from the stands and attacked down there and was just going at proper speed all the way down the back straight. And Leopardstown is as big a test of jumping as anywhere in Ireland, and even when he was slightly wrong at fences, he was getting away from them so fast. The odd little nod on landing, but never lost speed through the air and landed running away. And I think that experience under his belt will set him up for a proper match with Sergino. And
in the staying novice chase division, Ballyburn is back to his best. Do you think now he's, with the talk before this season, before was being a champion hurdle horse, do you think now he could be a Gold Cup contender down the line?
You'd think he has the potential for it. Like Margeborough, Ballyburn's experience, which he gained in Kempton, allowed him to put in that performance back to the distance that probably suits him the best, and ground a fraction slower than it was in Kempton. You'd like to think he's going to be very hard to beat in Cheltenham on the back of that, and he'll live up to the potential he had as a novice hurdler this year as a novice chaser.
And finally, we'll touch on Galopin. You talked him up and said you thought he was the good thing of the weekend on your diary. Can anything beat him in the Gold Cup?
The Gold Cup is a tougher race. He's the king of Leopardstown. He's unbeaten around there over fences, but equally so, bar today, he tripped up after the last in Cheltenham. I think he's unbeaten around Cheltenham as well. So, you see Jerry Colombe, unfortunately, going to miss the season with a minor injury. They're starting to drop away. He's just solid. He's got loads of ability. He's sound. He's got a great man on his back, great man training him. I don't see anything that can beat him, only a lacklustre performance from himself, and that doesn't look like happening for me.
Brilliant. It's great to hear from Danny about all the performances from the DRF. Be sure to subscribe and listen to him each week on the Tote YouTube channel. And then check out our stable tours. We've got a few more coming towards the Cheltenham Festival.